O.J. Simpson provided the Buffalo Bills with one of the greatest one-year rushing attacks of all time in 1973. But quarterbacks Joe Ferguson and Dennis Shaw combined to form the NFL's worst passing team of the 1970s. The Bills only had 2 games with more than 100 net passing yards, and for the season they averaged only 71.2 net passing yards per game. Joe Ferguson's 45.6 passer rating was the lowest in the NFL among qualifiers, and even though Dennis Shaw didn't pass enough to qualify, his passer rating was far worse at 32.9. Bills fans flocked to New Rich Stadium in Orchard Park, New York during the 1973 season. An average of 77,825 fans attended home games in the 80,000 capacity arena. That's a staggering 76% increase from 1972 when the Bills played at War Memorial Stadium, which was nicknamed the Rock Pile and had a seating capacity of just more than 46,000. The Bills led the NFL in total attendance each year from 1973 through 1975.
Let's hear it for the Bills! Let's hear it! Come on, let's go!
1973 was the last year that the Bills utilized their ink blot test team logo. I give up, Doc. What is it? The 1972 Bills roster averaged only 2.2 years experience, and amazingly that number decreased in 1973 to only 1.9. Tight end Paul Seymour from Michigan was the Bills' first-round selection at number 7 overall, and they picked Michigan State guard Joe DeLamielleure with their second first-round choice at number 26 overall. The Bills received this draft choice from the Dolphins in a trade involving wide receiver Marlon Briscoe. Joe is a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he made 7 All-Pro teams during his magnificent career. Arkansas quarterback Joe Ferguson was drafted with the Bills' third-round pick, and all 3 players started every one of the 14 regular season games in 1973. Joe Ferguson only threw 4 touchdown passes and he had 10 interceptions. He was sacked 20 times in 184 dropbacks. That 10.9 sack percentage was 6th worst in the NFL. Ferguson's 6.1 interception percentage was the 3rd worst in the NFL. Sometimes Ferguson's best bet was to run. He picked up 147 rushing yards on the season. Why let O.J. throw it when he can run with it? Here's some positive passing footage. Only 3 receivers had more than 10 catches for the team. Number 38 is Larry Watkins, who was one of only 2 Bills players to receive a touchdown pass in 1973. Only 6 Bills players caught more than 1 pass all year long. Joe Ferguson's 44.5 completion percentage was number 28 of 28 qualifiers, and Dennis Shaw didn't qualify, but his 47.8 completion percentage was far from special too. Bob Chandler led the Bills in receptions with 30, in yardage with 427, and in touchdown catches with 3. Fellow wide receiver J.D. Hill had 29 catches for 422 yards and no touchdowns for the 1973 season. Ferguson found out that it was simply the best bet to throw short and let his receivers do the rest. Coach Lou Saban was in his second year as the Bills head coach. In 1972, the Bills won 4 games, lost 9, and tied 1, as O.J. Simpson had the second most carries in the NFL and the most rushing yards. In 1973, Lou Saban decided that the Bills' offense needed an even bigger dose of O.J. Simpson, and Simpson ran for an NFL record 332 times. The offensive line coach responsible for 6 players with only 9 years' experience was Jim Ringo. He would be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1981. The Bills ran 74% of the time, 605 times compared to only 213 passing attempts. The Bills passed for the least amount of times, for the least amount of yards, and the least number of touchdowns in 1973. And as mentioned before, their 71.2 net passing yards are the lowest in the decade. Bills rushed for twice as many yards as they passed for, and their team yards per carry was an astounding 5.1. The Bills only had 4 games in which they rushed for less than 200 yards, and 1 game with less than 100 yards, which culminated in a 9-win and 5-loss record. Bills' offensive line was nicknamed the Electric Company because they turned on the juice, O.J. Simpson. Number 67, Reggie McKenzie, was referred to by O.J. as his, quote, my main man. Number 53, Mike Montler, spent time at center by starting 6 games, and number 68, rookie Joe Delamalier, was the best of the offensive linemen. Tackle Donnie Green only had 2 years of NFL play under his belt entering the 1973 season, while fellow tackle Dave Foley sported 4 years of NFL experience. Bruce Jarvis was a huge center who started 8 games after only playing in 2 years prior. OJ had a season for the ages. He averaged 143.1 rushing yards per game, which is still the highest of all time. He ran for a then NFL record 2,003 yards, yet only contributed 70 receiving yards on the season. He averaged 24 carries per game in setting an NFL record with 332 rushes. He also set the following records: 250 rushing yards in one game, 11 games of 100-plus rushing yards in a single season, and 39 carries in a single game. He also led the NFL with 12 rushing touchdowns and had the longest run of the season, an 80-yard touchdown. He also had a 78-yard touchdown run. O.J. Simpson was the Bills' offense in 1973. He accounted for 51% of the Bills' offense. O.J. and the Bills met their match in Miami during Week 6, however, when the Bills were held to a season-low 75 rushing yards and only one net passing yard. Bills quarterbacks were sacked 9 times in that game and averaged only 3.3 yards per passing attempt, which were both emblematic of the Bills' passing woes during the entire season.